right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Interview with a Man, episode 202. Today, we're going to interview a very, very cool guy, man who is near and dear to my heart, Mr. Capella. He's going to be popping in here in a moment. But in the meantime, we're just going to wait for everybody to pile on in and get this bad boy rolling. It's going to be one heck of a good show. He's on the way right now. Wait for you guys to come on in. And yeah, I hope everybody's doing well on this Monday morning. I am I'm so banged up from jiu-jitsu, man. It is Oh yeah. How you doing there, buddy?
Oh yeah. I'm muted, huh? I don't think so, dude.
You're good. No, you're good. You're good. You're looking like Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh yeah.
Good morning. How are you, buddy?
Bro, what's going on?
It's very early for you. I know that.
It is. It's insanely early.
Yeah. Welcome to the Winners Club.
Exactly. Dude, I'm feeling it. I now know why you wear sunglasses on the fucking live streams.
I'm wearing them today because, dude, so it's crazy, man.
Those are pimp glasses too, man. I'm jealous.
I had that hard rolling session in jiu-jitsu on Saturday morning, and then like all day yesterday, dude, I was just in agony, which was, Sunday all day. And then even today, man, honestly, to be completely transparent with everybody, dude, I had like a couple consultations today that I did from my bed.
Yeah.
But I did fuck all today, man.
Good for
I
you.
absolutely did fuck all. I can't believe how much of a wreck my entire back is just so sore. Like every fiber in my back. I think it's from driving with those takedowns so hard.
Yeah. Dude, jiu-jitsu, man, here's my big rule now with jiu-jitsu too. When I train when I was training 5 days a week, I made it abhorrently clear in my own mind, like, you will not spar every single day. Like 3 of those days you're going and you're just drilling. And when it comes time to spar, like, I don't care how it looks, like, you go and you bitch out and you sit in the fucking corner, right? Like, because you cannot, like, I can't spar 5 days a week. I cannot. It's just too hard on the body, man. Right? Like, you got to think about everything that goes into that, as far, like, just like what you just said, like, man, taking those shots, going in for that stuff, maintaining all of that strength, right? Like, it takes a lot out of you, dude.
It really
so
does.
For me, I only spar 2 to 3 times during the week, and that's when I'm like really gearing up. One of the big things that I focus on now is, especially now, like, I'm almost a brown belt, and when I roll, we've had this conversation before where I was like, man, I came in and I was like, bro, I almost got my black belt instructor today, right? Like 156, 175 pounds in between there, kind of deal, depending on if they're cutting and all that stuff. And I'm 245 pounds. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I'm athletic, and I know good enough of jiu-jitsu where it's like I can survive and I can attack, right? Like, I am no jiu-jitsu expert, but it's like getting to the point now where it's like, I want to know technique much more than I want to know that I can like fight through the match. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you can't teach heart and grit, but part of that's
right.
non-learnable.
Right.
But yeah, man, like when actually, it's funny because, I told you what my plan was, and then you're like, you should only spar twice a week. I was like, shut up. And in my head, I was just like, don't you dare.
Don't you dare
put don't put those pussy terms on me. And then literally I was like bedridden all day yesterday.
Yeah. An hour and a half of sparring, dude, is ridiculous. It's insane. Like,
yeah. Well, we did some drilling.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah. No, yeah.
No,
It was
the way that our classes are structured is during the day, during the week, it's an hour-long class. So we'll drill for 40 to 45 minutes, and then we'll get 2 rolls in at the end. And that's a pretty good, for me, that's like if I sustain 3 times a week, and I rock and roll it that way, that's pretty good. But normally what happens is I'll go Monday, Wednesday to jujitsu at noon. So I'll have those 2 drilling sparring sessions, and then I do Friday nights. And then Friday nights is only like high level blue belt and up that
it's
are
the
there
night class.
Yeah, it's the night class, exactly. The black stripe.
Yeah.
And it's like Peter, the instructor that night, he's like, it's time for Pohada. That's Pohada. Pohada means go hard, right? It means like put it all out there, like fight for your life, right? So like I call it Friday night fights. So I show up and we'll probably we'll warm up like real quick, 5 minutes, and then we'll maybe do like a few kind of quick advanced drills. Like we'll probably start doing some like leg attacks or some sweeps and stuff like that. And then he's just like, all right, let's go. It's just,
I don't know if this is gonna work. Tell me, can you see that on my screen?
I can see it on your screen. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's me. My girlfriend snapped a picture of this when I was done with everything. I want to see if I can make it big. I'm gonna make it bigger for everybody in the audience to see. But this is exactly how you feel when you're done going hard on those rounds. Because good Lord in heaven, man. Yeah, I think that's bigger. That's better there. You can clearly see the exhaustion there. And yeah, man, I tell you what though, it definitely pulls everything out of you. I mean, you sweat like a pig. You fucking
Oh my God.
You lose like close to 4 pounds when you're done with a jiu-jitsu session. And then to top it off, like almost every muscle in your body gets worked out, and like, whew, I mean, you're gonna be sore. All the what's the stuff in your muscles called? Starts with a G.
Glycogen. Glycogen.
Yeah, all your glycogen's gone. You get out, and you're flat as ever.
That's why, dude. That's why I'm having such a tough time. And like right now, I'm actually looking at at a new nutritionist, because every nutritionist that I've gone to so far, as like, because my goal in life is to be like 9 to 10% body fat, be able to lift 4 to 5 days a week, and be able to do jujitsu and Muay Thai throughout the week as well. And it's like
stem cells.
That's what I'm fucking talking. I need that fucking Dan Bilzerian money, bro. That's what I need. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's like
he said when he's done with the stem cell treatments. I don't know if you watched the Joe Rogan thing with him. It's a great interview.
Yeah,
probably his rawest interview. But he says like when he's done with his stem cell when he's done with his stem cell treatments, that he says the next day all his lifts in the gym go up by 25%.
25% stronger, he says he is, dude. Well, I know when we've all met up, I know this for a fact too. Like me, you, Googs, and fucking Myron. Like the talk is to go and head down to Panama.
Yeah.
And go on a fucking hot dude fucking tour and hit Panama. And like that's the first thing we talked about. Is like,
give me that Wolverine blood, baby. Fuck it.
Let's go get some stem cells, baby.
Let's do it. That's totally on my plans. Like
I agree. Hey, you know me, man. You know me. I don't joke around about much.
Yeah.
Like if we're gonna do something, if I say it, we're doing it, right? Like if you say it, we're doing it. Let's go. That's the beauty of this.
So, it's so funny how you and I came into contact back when I was on that shithole platform, Twitter. I had you hit, like, I think you hit me in the DMs, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy with his backwards hat? I thought you were a young guy. That photo kind of makes you look a little bit like younger, and like more immature. But then I remember, I forget, did we link up in real life first, or did you?
No. So
I forget.
You were posting quite a bit on Twitter, and I mean, you post good stuff, so I was liking it and stuff, and I'd comment on a few things or whatever. You'd say some stuff about jujitsu. We talk jujitsu or whatever, and then I definitely hit you up on the DM, And I think I just I said something about, oh yeah, because I do a show with John Fitch. That was the first show that I started off with, was Red Pill Smash Bros. And I was like, hey, have myself and John Fitch, or why don't you come on to my show with myself or John Fitch? And you're like, yo, you're friends with John Fitch? I was like, hell yeah. You're like, oh, dude, my fucking webinars are about to start up for Q3 and all this other stuff.
That's right.
Like, link me up with him and all this other stuff. So then we started talking that way. And then I forgot how it all kind of transpired from there. But yeah, that was pretty much it. It was like a fucking snowball effect where the next thing I know, I'm out in fucking Phoenix hanging out with you and the rest of the guys. And oh yeah, well, I think originally I got into the Q3 webinars with you too, and you let me talk to the guys a couple times and introduce myself and stuff. And
I think it was on Dude Party. Were we on the first Dude Party?
That's right. Yeah. That's exactly what happened, dude. Damn. And how far into Dude Party are we right now?
We're in episode 17 upcoming.
Nice.
And every episode's been easily clearing 1,000 views within 24 hours. So yeah. So for you guys that don't know, like, Corey's basically like the unofficial co-host of Dude Party, and he's always there with me. And to me, him, like, the trifecta is me, Corey, and Abu American, the white belt, the purple belt, and the brown belt. Yeah. And I'm the white belt. And so yeah, it's just great. And I remember when you just came on, like, you're just, Corey, you guys say the strongest point about you is, like, you're just so profoundly articulate with what you say. And I think, and if you read through the comments, even, I always tell you that in private too, but, like, you're so profoundly articulate, and that's very rare in this space. As you know, this space is kind of getting cleared out from all the frauds right now. And the internet exposes everybody. So I have a pretty good judge of character. That's why, like, I choose who I choose to be with me, like you, obviously, Googs, Myron, Joe, Ryan, the inner squad. And I think that people need a guy like you. And now more than ever, baby, bring me Pepsi Zero. Now more than ever, we need masculine guys like you, because there is literally a masculinity crisis in the United States. It's a silent crisis. Like, the genders are so screwed up right now in America, and quite honestly, it's just like only a few people see it. And I think your profound nature is really good. So I want to interview you today. I want to find out all about you. So, I mean, because I don't know that much. I mean, I met you, and I have a really good nose for bullshitters and people who are full of shit. I can even digitally pick them up, right? And you don't have any of that on you. So where were you born?
Oh man, I was born in a small town called Ellington, Connecticut, where there's actually more cows than people.
Myron's from Connecticut. Did you know that?
Yeah. That's why, that's another reason why Myron and I fucking hooked up so quickly, because I'll tell you what, the mindset that's in Connecticut is literally, it is the ultimate blue pill conditioning. The entire the northern East Coast seaboard, I believe, is like, it's this old school traditional type of belief set, where it's crazy. So I had this epiphany the other day. I can't remember when it was, if it was when we were on Rule Zero or if it was Dude Party, but I kind of was able to break down what the blue pill is exactly. The blue pill is, if you break it down to its brass tacks, right? The foundational core principle of the blue pill, it is that men are disposable and women are to be protected. If you really think about that. And then from there, right, it creates this dichotomy within society where that's where everything is built upon, right? And I talked about this yesterday. I was on Abu American's show, and he's like, hey, Corey, exactly like what you said. Tell me about your upbringing. Tell me about how you got here. And it was crazy because I grew up in an environment, right, where my family's very traditional. My grandparents literally were off the boat from Italy, right? Came into Ellis Island. I went to Ellis Island myself and saw their names on the fucking roster, right?
What year was it?
This was 1921.
Oh, wow.
They were babies.
Yeah, really fresh generation Americans.
Yeah, technically third generation now American, right?
That's cool.
Yeah, it's not terrible, right?
I love real Italian food.
You know, dude, I am the worst Italian. I gotta lie to you. I fucking hate Italian food.
Do you?
I hate it. Oh, dude, so terrible. It's, you know why? I think man, I don't exactly know why. I don't like tomatoes.
Really?
I don't like tomato sauces whatsoever. It fucks me up, man. And I'll tell you the other thing too was, you know, traditional Italian family. I mean, the other half of my family is German, from my mom's side, but dad's side was very predominant, very, very boisterous, and that was kind of where the control was too. But every Sunday, you know, we were going over to grandma's house and we were having fucking pasta and ziti and manicotti and all this other stuff.
Ooh,
and it's like,
manicotti's good. I forgot about that.
It's not bad. It's not bad. That was kind of the whole
Godless Japanese over here don't eat that.
Yeah, but to me, and especially too, because, you know, obviously I'm big into fitness. Italian food is terrible for you.
It's worse. It's the worst ever.
It is so. Joe Rogan talks about it too, because he's Italian as well. And he's like, yo, eating pasta is like eating fucking glue, man. You could feel it surging through your system. You're just like, ugh. Yeah. Ugh. So
it's funny when you get older, you start feeling that shit. When you're 20, you're like, fuck it, I'll eat anything.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll tell you a little bit more about this. So I'm the patriarch of my family. It's kind of another reason why the title of my book is A Patriarch's Vision. It's kind of a jab at my upbringing as well. So I'm the firstborn in my as the new generation of my family. Obviously, I'm a man, and
you identify as a man.
Yeah, I do.
Me too.
A masculine presenting lesbian. And my sister is 10 and a half months younger than me. So we're Irish twins, technically, right? Now, here's the crazy part is the way I was raised between how my sister was raised was completely different. Like I used to be called, my friends, what little friends I was actually able to have, so to speak. My friends used to call me Cinderella because the way that I was raised is I was raised as a workhorse. It wasn't my dad. My dad was the hammer. My dad only had two speeds. It was either stoic and no emotions or full of rage. Right. And the way that my father dealt with me and handled me was there was no talking. There was no anything. It was all through physical brute force. Right. Every instance that he could find to go off the handle on me, he would find. Right. So it was like, and this is something that I think is very unique between you and I. This is why we are cut of the same cloth, is because we grew up in an environment where our life was never secure. We were constantly fighting for our own survival. And when you have to do that as a child, you end up becoming one with your environment, so to speak, of being able to analyze even the smallest detail. It's called hypervigilance.
Yep.
That's why people talk about being street smart. That's essentially what street smarts is as well. It's like, all right, I got to learn human behavior. I got to learn and identify all the small little things that are going on here. Like, it's even weird too. Like I talk about this, like being able to feel the temperature of the room. I can feel the emotional temperature of the room when someone's emotional state changes, because I had to quickly identify that and try to get myself out of an environment when my dad's temperature quickly started to change. I had to figure out a way, or else I was going to get my fucking ass whooped. And my dad was my dad's a fucking gorilla, like 280, 300 pounds, like 6'1", fucking just tank of a fucking dude. And when he got rageful, it was like a fucking silverback, dude. That's what I used to call him, the silverback. Just fucking lift me and throw me across the fucking room, pin me to fucking walls, and just with this big meaty hand, just start fucking beating me. 7 years old, 8 years old, it didn't fucking matter. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Jesus.
And then my sister was this diva. She was treated like a princess. She could get away with anything whenever. Never get a hand put on her, no boundaries placed on her, right? It was fucking crazy. Don't worry, sweetheart. Sit on your butt, right? You don't have any consequences for your actions. Don't lift a finger, right? Whereas I'm like, my life structure growing up was, you come home from school, you do your homework. Do your homework. Then you do all your chores. It's a list of chores. You got to get outside. You need to rake. You need to pick up all the sticks. You need to pick up all the acorns. You need to put it on the tarp. Then you got to put it in the fucking whatever. And every single time when my dad came home at 4:30 p.m., it was inspected.
Oh,
did you meet the standard? Did you half-ass it? Right? Because if I half-assed it, guess what? I'd have to go out and do it again. Right? Do it right the first time. You fucking idiot. You fucking moron. Right? Something like that. Slap upside the head. So I was like, it was crazy, right? It was like militant, you know what I mean? And then it was practice your sports, right? So it would go homework, chores, practice sports, which means if it's fall or winter or whatever, I only got time to do my homework, get outside before the fucking sun goes down, do my chores, and then, oh yeah, going and playing with friends or practicing sports is pretty much out the window, right? At 12 years old, I had to start cooking dinner every single night as well. So it was literally homework, chores, practice sports maybe, but make sure dinner's ready for the entire family. Right? So it was like that kind of upbringing. And then it's like if things weren't kosher, it would turn into a fucking boom off the spot. Just everyone's fucking whatever, right? Now, I'm painting my dad in a bad light. But the thing that I needed to realize too with my entire upbringing as well with all this stuff was this. Who was really to blame in a lot of the situation? Because my mother was this perfect little saintly angel of a woman, right? So to speak. But it took me years and years and years to realize that this is something that I was dealing with, especially because, you know, there's this kind of connection between boy and mom and dad and daughter kind of deal, right? It's obviously that magnetism that occurs between masculine and feminine. So I could see the kind of Oedipal kind of connection between my dad and my sister. There was something that he was trying to get from her. It was like this undying love that he never got from his mother, right? Because my grandmother, holy crap, you want to talk about fucking fiery ass Sicilian woman that just, my dad never believed he abused me because my dad got it worse. Oh, she would fucking coat hanger whip these kids, right? Wow. So my dad was just like, oh, you're being disciplined. It's like, that's not discipline, bro. That's you go flying off the handle, not being in control of your emotions and going into a rageful fucking blinding rage, right? Blinding rage, not knowing what you're going through. Like you ever get so rageful before that, like you black out?
It's never happened to me, but I definitely, when I snap, it's not pretty.
Right. Yeah.
I scare my friends.
That was my whole thing my entire life too, as I've always tried to protect myself from, it's what I call the Hulk, from letting the Hulk come out. Right. But my dad would let the Hulk come out all the time. So that's always scared me from dipping into that deal. But it's also taught me a whole lot about being able to control your emotions. That's a huge part of being a centered man, right? A man that operates off of his rage and anger is no man at all. It's a boy still. Right. So, oh man, big breakthrough a couple years back where I was like, yo, I'm disappointed in my mother, because essentially what's a mother to a child, right? What's a mother's base instinct? Well, a mother's base instinct is supposed to be to protect her offspring. If you look at any animal culture or whatever, they're always constantly trying to protect their offspring, you know, unless an alpha moves in, and then the alpha ends up doing what? The alpha ends up moving in and killing their pups from other lineage or whatever. That's why step parents are really abusive, right? They really don't have any connection to that offspring. So,
yeah. I saw a zebra kill another baby the other day.
Like is that Nature's Metal?
Yeah, man. Yeah, on that Instagram, they killed the zebra.
Yeah, Cody, absolutely 100%, dude. Listen, I'm telling you, the person that I am today, this all made me. Right. So I am not sitting here today trying to paint one iota of me being a victim. I'm past all that stuff. Oh, but yeah. What I am trying to do.
I mean, it's not, your story's not funny, but I'm saying, do you know that kind of same abusive situation happened to me?
I'm guessing that's what I'm guessing too, and this is why I'm telling the story, because like, look where you and I are at though. Like, how are you able to develop a body language mastery course where you break down all these subtleties in NLP without ever going through like you don't have a master's degree or PhD in psychology and all this other stuff. You didn't have to do a doctorate. And
sorry, my girl's fucking. No, my girl's fucking my camera.
Quit that.
Change the color. Go ahead. Sorry, Corey.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. But it's because of the level of trauma that we've gone through. A lot of people talk about this stuff. Like, how did you come to the red pill? Well, the answer simply is trauma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you had to be forced to be birthed into this space, plain and simple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I listen to your upbringing and I just sit there and I'm listening to how, and I hate to say this on air to you especially, but your mom, man, your mom, dude. Like, this is what's going through in my mind too. It's like, why the fuck weren't you protecting me? What the fuck is wrong with you? You fucking narcissistic, like, oh, like deep down, like there's this kind of grit to you where you're just like, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? And I remember sitting there one time, my dad's taken it to the point where he's almost killed me. Like, honestly, like he's buried my head in the fucking ground and held me there for minutes while I'm sitting there fucking gasping for air. And my mom is just sitting there watching. Think about this stuff. In that moment, what choice did she make?
Yeah, she chose him over you.
Exactly. Right.
And they always do that. I mean, I think that's just like a cultural thing, because at the end of the day, they're just like, they don't want to lose their provider. They don't want to lose the guy that's taking care of them. You know, when I was little, my cousins, like, I don't know if I've told this, but my cousins used to beat me up pretty viciously every day. When I was like 8 years old, 9 years old, I vividly remember like they would hold me down, and I remember like I was on a bed and they like pinned me down, and I was getting punched in the face so much that to the point there was a white wall next to me, and I would see my blood like splatter up against the white wall. And this is a fucking 8-year-old child. You know, I was an elementary school teacher for a while, and I reflected on this, and I was just looking at these little kids, and I was like, I could never in 1,000 years imagine beating the shit out of this poor defenseless child. Like, dude, I love children, right? And not like that sick fucking weirdo way that Americans try to like paint on all men. But like, I
isn't that crazy how we do that too?
Yeah. I had to let go of that belief when I came to Japan, because when I came to Japan, like, you know, kids love, like, I think children can feel power and masculinity, man.
Yeah.
And like, I would
play with the leader. Yeah. They want to be around them. They're magnetized.
Kids, they would crawl on me, and then the little girls, they would like straddle my leg and jump up and down and be like, ah, and I'd be like, well, this is like inappropriate.
Yeah.
And then the Japanese people are like, what's inappropriate? Like, what do you mean? Like, are you okay? You have like bone problems or something? Yeah. And then my Irish friend, Edwin at the time, he was like, mate, he's like, that shit's at home. That's where they think we're all fucking weirdos and victims at home. Like, in Japan, they clearly understand, like, this is a child, and like, adults don't fuck children, and pedophilia is like an extreme small percentage of people. Like, when you go to the onsens here, you know, the little kids are running around naked with their parents. Yeah. Like, I see them all the time. And like, and it's like, I'm like, at first I felt weird, but then I'm like, I'm not weird. Like, I have no desire to fuck these children. Like, America,
I can compartmentalize these relationships. It's okay. Like, I'm that
skilled like, I figured that out. I figured that out. Like, once I started seeing a pair of tits, I was like, I want to go with those. Right. Know?
Yeah, so, absolutely.
But anyways, yeah, the point I'm trying to make is that, like,
you're getting your ass kicked at 8 years old, and it's not normal. You recognized it.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that is why we both have an affinity for fighting? I think so.
Here's the thing, and I write about this in my new book, obviously, A Patriarch's Vision, Purging Feminism. I talk about bullying, and I talk about our perspective here in the United States when it comes to bullying. And, you know, obviously everyone wants to stand on the moral high ground and be like, oh, bullying is bad. Believe it or not, bullying, the person being the bully is usually being bullied themselves. Yes. And they're attracted to weaker people, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to project their dominance so that person that's weaker than them, because what they're trying to teach them is, yo, life is fucking hard. Like, you need to fucking get prepared. Right. Mm-hmm. And obviously kids cannot teach lessons that deep that well, which is another thing that's really wrong with our society. Our school systems lump these kids together, and it's literally Lord of the Flies. It's kids leading kids to become adults. That's why gang members are so immature, but they cling to want to become part of a gang, right? Mm-hmm. Because they are not emotionally protected. They don't have any type of safety, and they want to belong to a group that is the warring tribe that can dominate, right? So kids instinctively do this too, especially when they come from poor upbringing. My biggest thing is this. Yeah, bullying made you a man. But here's the thing is, if
I'm grateful that I got bullied, because I'm a gangster now.
Agreed. But here's where it comes down to is, and this is what it ideally comes down to as well, is boys need to be initiated into manhood. Like I said, they at 13 years old, they need to go through like a Spartan ritual agoge that is a blend between bullying, tearing down the boy, but also mentorship. And that's what I talk about. It's just like with a girl. There's a difference between being dominant and domineering, right? And that's how people need to be trained. They need to have a dominant leader that's there to lead, but it's just like it's being firm but fair, right? Just being firm, you're going to break someone, right? Being fair all the time, the world isn't fair. So you got to be firm and fair. You got to rule with an iron fist, but you also have to sometimes sit people down and be like, yo, hey, here's the lesson that we're trying to teach you. We got you, right? We're doing this for your best. We're doing this for your best interest. Just keep chugging. It's like any type of military training that I've been through. There's always been, there's a wave to a cycle, right? It's we're going to come in, we're going to bring you in, we're going to shock you. We're going to start to push the boundaries right in the beginning to cut you down. And then there's going to be a little bit of a drop off. And then we're going to show you a little bit of personality and a little bit of whatever. And then it's going to ramp up again. Right. And then like higher. And then we're going to bring you back down a little bit again. And then higher again. And then because that's the thing, is that we have to level up on a stepping playing field. You can't just take someone to far extreme and then drop off, or just keep everybody at far extreme the entire time, or you're going to break them. So that's the way that things need to be modeled as far as that's concerned. And ideally, that's what I'm trying to do with the book as well, is next book. The next book is, so this one, I talk about the 9 key things that we're missing in our society that we fucked up and that we need to bring back for a good foundation. Because obviously the key is this, obviously, you need masculinity in order for your society to survive. And
any society, yes,
for any society, plain and simple. And it's not just masculinity. It needs to be like the most optimized version of masculinity, where men are raised as men, women are signed off and checked on board with it, or else they're fucking booted from society, right? None of this, no more of this feminist shit. No more of that stuff. Like, we've realized that feminism is not a good thing for societies, plain and simple. So the second that stuff starts getting rooted out, boom. And I go into all this, right? But the next book after this, part 2, is going to be like, how do you structure society? How do you structure your government? How do you structure your financial institutions, your medical, your educational, your religious or spiritual type of stuff? And then how do you blend all that stuff in to just hit that root, essentially, of that, right? Essentially, like, you know, feminists will bitch and moan and call me a fucking misogynist and all this other stuff. And they'll say, oh, he's just trying to create a patriarchy. Yeah. So?
Yeah, I am. Go take your fat ass and march up and down the road and be angry at Trump. We're doing shit over here.
Any type of society right now that's been led by some type of matriarch or a matriarchy has failed and descended into third world disgusting chaos.
Yep.
Like, what would you rather live in? Would you rather live in a flourishing society or a fucking decaying society? Well, I choose flourishing. I want my life to flourish. I want everything to be optimized. I want to be happy. I want to be free. And the thing is, women don't understand freedom. They don't understand fucking consequences either, right? Like, this is something that I talk about.
What Rich always says is, like, they don't care about your struggle. They sit at the finish line and pick the winner. That's all they want to do. You know, that's how you find a keeper, as a girl. Miss MLD, she you know, she's a true definition of a ride or die bitch. Like, when I first came to Tokyo in 2017, dude, I got tricked by a Japanese slumlord, and I moved into this place, and my hands were tied because I didn't have a visa. But how this guy is fucking excellent marketer, I'll say that, because what I saw online and what I saw in real life, bro, this woman definitely loves me, because I hated myself living there. And she would pay $500 a month to come and see me for a fucking year straight, and come stay within this place. Dude, this place was disgusting. There was fucking, like, there was roaches. It was moldy. There was this, I used to call her the dragon lady. There's like this crazy old Japanese lady that lived next to me who dude, this woman was like the crypt keeper, man. She was just like psychopath and stinking, and like would wake up and like put like Beyonce on like 4 o'clock in the morning and listen to it. And like, I seriously like viciously hated this lady. And
you hated your living condition too. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it was miserable, man. But I had no choice to grind it out in that fucking disgusting shithole in the nightclub district, like the seediest district. I intentionally moved to the nightclub district for purely scientific reasons. But you know,
lots of science.
Yo,
let me ask you a question right there, though. You ended up, I mean, aside from Miss MLD being around, but did you bang a lot of chicks while you're in that spot?
Of course not.
You didn't.
Well,
oh yeah, I got you. Yeah, exactly. So, man, I used to own a gym. And I lived in my gym. I had my own little spot set up. First off, started with a futon, and I would take girls out, and I'd be like, "Yo, come back to my place. It's at my gym. I want to show you my gym." Yo, and girls were all about that. Like it was just the style that I had, right? Like I was super confident in it. Like, and that's one thing I wanted to tell these guys that are listening right now. You guys can still be a little bit lower level, but if you got that bad boy vibe and you got that stuff going on, girls love that stuff. Yeah, Biggie's my man. Come on, dude.
And then you know,
I'm representing my title right now.
Rollo used to talk about it. Rollo and Donovan in the house. Rollo, I said he looks like Macho Man in the 80s. Macho Man, Randy Savage. But you know, they're like Rollo talked about it too, and I just talked about it, and then you're talking about it. Like, you know, the real, you know, no disrespect to the guys who have money, but the real test of a man is if you got fuck all and your living conditions are shit, and you know your place is disgusting or whatever, but you have that ambition and you have that drive, girls will line up out the door to be with you. And that's, you know, pure game right there. Pure
you could be at the bottom of the barrel. And so that's the same thing that happens on my dates, though, is I'd sit there and I talk, girls would be like, you know, what are you doing and all this other stuff. And the way that I would talk about my purpose and the direction that I was going, that was seductive to them. Women love guys that have that direction and that drive, like what you're talking about. And that's how, you know, even now today, like my goal, not just to influence men and all this other stuff and help men fucking really start striving towards masculinity and initiating men into it. But the other thing is this, like I'm trying to become like a fucking real estate mogul as well. Yeah, trying to get as much passive income and all this other stuff. So when I bring girls back to my house, I live in this little suite right now. My mentor is the one that I'm working under in order for me to be taught of how to acquire these properties here and pretty much flip them and build them and all this other stuff. And I drive like a pretty moderate, moderate. Is that the word I'm looking for? Like modest? A humble, yeah, modest. There we go. Modest car right now. 2014 Ford Fiesta I got as like I was declaring bankruptcy. So I'm holding on to that car right now because that's like my model right now where it's like, you know what I mean? Where it's like fucking elevate yourself, right? Elevate yourself, dude. Like get to a point where you could buy. My goal is like until I can buy like 10 BMW M5 comps in cash. That's the moment that I'll go and get that. But until then, until you got that FU money, dude, like you will drive that bitch around. So when I show up on a date, of course, like deep down inside of me, I'm like, you know, there's a bit of insecurity because I see everybody else that drives around, they're fucking rocking a brand new Mercedes or doing whatever. And I show up on my dates and I don't mess around with just scrubby ass women. I mean, of course I got my array, but I'm showing up to this nice place. I look good and I show up in my car. Right. And, we're sitting there and we're chatting or whatever. And I'm talking to these girls who are probably normally used to guys leaving with their wallet. And I sit there and I just talk about my vision and my purpose and why I do all this other stuff. And these girls are enamored by just my personality and just what's going on there. And that's the beauty of this is like a lot of guys go out and they lead with what they have. Like, hey, this is what I have. Or, hey, let me buy you this stuff. It's like, you guys don't know your own value and the type of individual you are and how to like, not just necessarily sell it, but promote it, right? Like being confident with who you are and what your value is and what your direction is, in my opinion, is a far better tool for seduction than the opposite of like chasing after these possessions that you think are going to be status symbols that are going to easily sell.
One of the richest men I know, this motherfucker loves his goddamn Toyota Camry. Loves the fucking thing, dude.
I know so many people that are like that. Yeah. I know one dude who drives around a 1981 Chevy that he just keeps restoring over and over and over. And he's got a garage full of stuff. My other mentor right now, he owns 145 properties here in San Diego.
Ooh, buddy.
This dude.
How old is he?
Oh, shit. He's 56, I think.
That's not bad.
Dude, he's a fucking brown belt in jiu-jitsu too. He's a maniac.
Fuck yeah. I mean,
strong all that money. He's hard as nails though. Yeah, exactly. But what he tells me is you know, before, when he came across all this money and all this other stuff, the first thing he did, obviously, he had the Porsches, he had all this other stuff. He went and he bought 2 fucking airplanes. He was flying 3-4 times a week. And he looks at me now and he goes, Corey, if it flies, fucks, or floats, rent it. And he just drives. He's like, don't ever buy this stuff, man. He's like, rent it, like, for when you're going to use it. Like, and that's it. Pay someone else to maintain it. Don't pay for the storage fees. Don't pay for the maintenance fees and all this other stuff. When I met Mrs. T, I had a 1979. Hell yeah. Absolutely. Like,
Rolo's a man's man behind the scene. When you actually talk to the guy and know him, like, you know, behind his internet persona, he really is who he says he is.
Well, you know, I think that's the biggest part of the space at this moment too. I mean, you know, I talked to Donovan as well. Like, I talked to Donovan and I could tell just from talking to Donovan as well, like, he's been through the same traumas that you and I have been through. We're like, yo, you need to get smart real quick. And that's why like, that dude can break things down at such a fucking level and codify it and give it to people in such a way. It's like, dude, I know for a fact that
quickly too.
Oh, dude, he's one of the best, man, honestly. Yep. So the authenticity in this space is quickly rising to the top. Just like what you talk about. I love the fact that you're calling out like DDJ and all these people, man. It's like, yo, if we smell the slightest bit of inauthenticity, like that's no, we could tell. Like, screw
Don't
you,
even
man.
Get me fired, dude. You know what's funny? I'm still getting emails from all these guys. I don't know if you know who, like, Chris Cantu. He used to be like in the MGTOW space. But DDJ coordinated an attack to get his channel taken down. To this day, I'm getting guys hitting me up on Discord. I'm getting guys hitting me up on my emails, my business email, my private emails. And they're like, dude, thank you so much for exposing that guy, DDJ. I had no idea. I just personally, he made fun of me and said, like, I have no game and that I'm wearing my mom's bathrobe and blah, blah, blah. And that he's like I could hear the fat in his voice. And then I could also hear.
You could hear the beta in it too.
You look like
there's
you
this really,
like,
there's this
like,
really
look,
low level boy energy that you could tell for sure.
But like, you know, you're literally a fucking human weapon. Like, you literally scare me. Like, I need a weapon to kill you. And so, like, you know, but when I met you, you're like one of the nicest guys in the world. And you're never on the internet talking about, I'll put this guy down, I'll whoop this guy's ass. Because the guys that can really fight, the most gangsters of the gangsters, they're afraid to kill people and go to jail. They don't talk recklessly like that. And so,
and that's the other downfall about being a Marine too. Is it's like, you do not understand the level of conditioning that we were raised to have.
Dude,
like
12 weeks of brainwashing. I could fucking imagine.
Bro, we're screaming kill. It's fucking awesome though, to be honest with you. Like,
I want to go back. I want to go back
right now.
I want to go back to your history. So
yeah, go ahead.
You were born in Connecticut. You have was your sister older than you or younger than you?
Younger than me. Yeah.
So
10.5 months younger than me.
So younger sister, and it's just you and her? You're the 2 kids?
Yep, exactly.
Parents are immigrants from Italy, come to Ellis Island, 1921.
Yep.
Grandma whooped the shit out of dad, way worse than dad whipped the shit out of you. How long are you in Connecticut? When do you get out? Well, like, give me some timeline progressions here.
For sure, man. Yeah. So I realized that my house is a war zone. I come from a lower middle class family. Now in Connecticut, especially during that time frame, especially where I lived, that's poor, right? It's like you're a fucking nobody.
Up there.
Yeah, and everybody, all people care about is that image and what's in your bank account kind of deal. And you got to really promote that stuff. And my dad's a son of a bitch too, so people don't really like him.
What did he do for a living?
My dad was a metrologist. He was a working class man. He was a machinist that he calibrated gauges for helicopters. So he worked for like Pratt and Whitney, Sikorsky, and the main company that he worked for was. I'll keep that one kind of close to home or whatever, just so people don't go stalking the mofo. But
yeah, of course.
But yeah, he was a blue collar guy. You know, no college really. I think he got an associate's degree or something like that. Mom is the same boat. So he was, like I said, blue collar, but this dude was up every single morning at 4:45. The first thing he'd do was wake up, go take a dump, go take a shower, and then get ready to go to work. And then he was out the door. I could hear him starting up his truck every single morning. By 5:30, 6 o'clock, gone. And then he wasn't coming home until 4:30, 5:30 at night. This dude was the epitome of every single day. And then most of the time he was working 6 days a week, right?
Wow.
Half days on Saturday or whatever, right?
And this is like yeah, you grew up same time as me, so like early, like mid 80s to
mid
90s.
80s to 90s to 2000s, exactly. My dad would come home from work and he'd barely talk to anybody. And like I said, he'd come home and he'd inspect my stuff, and then it was either
Would he
an ass
drink?
whooping. No, that's the fucking crazy part, man. Is my dad, this was just pure rage. It was just pure rage.
It was just a gangster. That's where you get the ferocity from.
Yeah.
I think you just rechanneled it a little bit better.
Savage. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's part of what I needed to learn, honestly. So, you know, I'm 16 and a half when September 11th happens. I watched the towers fall.
I was in ROTC when that happened.
Fucking crazy, dude. Yeah, and I live in Connecticut, which is the town that I lived in was exactly halfway between Boston, halfway between New York City. I was in believe it or not. So my dad didn't take me to do a whole lot either, but it was so strange. On September 9th, my dad took me to see the last Yankees Red Sox baseball game in the old Yankee Stadium on September 9th, 2001. I remember driving out of the city and seeing a reflection, right, of the towers, right? This is like 2 or 3 blocks away. I remember seeing a reflection and it climbing up, and I remember turning and staring in awe of these 2 buildings. They were fucking magnanimous. Like, they were awe-inspiring. Like, my mind at that point in time was like, holy crap, like, we as a civilization can build stuff like this. This is fucking nuts. And then 2 days later, I'm watching these fucking towers fall after getting hit by these planes. And it's just like, that's when the thing started brewing in my mind too about conspiracy. Cause like at 5:30 that night, I remember watching Tower 7 fall just due to fire. And I was like, that's strange.
Yeah.
I was like, either way though, I was like, maybe this was a coordinated type of effort from our military so that we could go to war to initiate going and killing off the bad guys. Right. So I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, America kind of deal. And then a part of me wanted to go to New York City at that time and go help pull people out of the rubble. So this is kind of like the beginning of me trying to become the hero. You know what I'm saying? Like, go and help the weak kind of deal, which is ingrained to every white knight, blue pill kind of dude, right? I didn't go, though. I was scared to death because I was going to grab the car and drive to New York City and pretty much skip school and skip work. But I was so fearful that my dad was going to kick my ass, right? That I didn't do it. And I remember that, like, sitting in my stomach, right? This is regret. Like, there's an old adage that every man has 4 to 5 instances in life where he can rise to the occasion and, you know, become the hero or do whatever. Right. And I remember sitting there after saying no because I was so scared, and that despair, that regret sitting in me. So here I am, 18 years old. I have no fucking clue what I'm going to do. Everyone's like, go to college, which means I need to take out fucking student loans because my parents aren't going to pay for it. We haven't even had the conversation. My parents don't give a Yeah, my parents didn't even have the conversation with me. They're like, hey, son, where do you want to go to college? Oh, are you excited? Oh, don't worry. We'll take care of some of the stuff, or we'll help with tuition. There was zero conversation in my household about that. It was like this awkward silence kind of thing. So I'm like, fuck, I'm on my own. Right. And my house is a war zone too. I'm like turning 18. I'm like, fuck, dude, I can't live here any longer. This shit's bad for me. I live in a small town. Most people are fucking townies and they're blue collar workers. They're either doing landscaping, chimney service, HVAC, tobacco, or whatever. And I'm like, yo, I don't want that either. I was like, I want to go out. I want to fucking explore the world and all this other stuff. And, you know, we start invading Iraq.
Yeah.
And I'm at a party. This is like 2, 3, 4 weeks before graduation. I'm at a party. I'm already drinking at this point in time in life, partying, chasing girls.
Yep.
And I remember they're like, hey, have you seen fucking Jeff Cormier? And I'm like, Jeff Cormier graduated 2 years before me. I wasn't really friends with him, but it was the talk of the town because Jeff Cormier just graduated Marine Corps boot camp. And they're like, oh my God, Jeff Cormier is a fucking lethal weapon. You should see him. He needs to register himself as a lethal weapon. And the way they're talking about this guy, as far as him being a Marine is concerned, I'm like, oh my God, I want that. Like deep down inside of me. But then the boy comes in and it's like, you could never do that. You could never be that guy. You don't have that. So I was like, but it planted a seed. You need to join the military. Fuck yeah, that's exactly what I need to do. So I go check out the fucking Army recruiter at first. Actually, scratch that. I checked out the Air Force recruiter first. And it was this fucking dude. Oh, first off, the uniform is hideous. He's got fucking bright white teeth like a used car salesman. He's like, hey, join the Air Force. You don't really have to work out. You don't really have to PT. You could rollerblade instead. And I'm like, fuck that, dude. I'm in the gym right now.
Military recruiters are scumbags, dude. No offense to anybody in the military.
I love it. Exactly. They're so fucking cheesy. So I was like, fuck this. I get up and I go into the Army recruiter's office, and I'm sitting here talking to this fucking dude who's like 5'3", 115 pounds with these, he's still wearing his BCGs, right? The BCGs are these glasses that we call birth control goggles. And he's got a lisp, and he's like, join the Army and we'll pay for your uniforms. And I was like, the fuck? Like, I'm not going to join the Army just so you guys pay for my uniforms. Like, I want fucking discipline. I want all this other stuff. And then I look down the hall and I look at the Navy recruiter, and I was like, nah, fuck that shit. I didn't even go to the Navy recruiter. So I was like, all right, we only got one more option. So I leave there that day because the Marine Corps recruiter is not there. And I go to the one that's close to my house that Saturday morning. And I walk in and I go into the recruiter's office, and it's this bald-headed fucking dude who's like puffing out of his fucking uniform. He's wearing his Charlies, and he's like clean cut and all this other stuff. And he looks at me. He's like, "What do you want?"
Is he? I was like, when you say puffing out of his stuff, is he fat
like
or is he jacked?
No, dude. This dude is fucking yoked. He's like, he's like popping out of his uniform. Like, god damn, dude. Like, fuck. This guy's a hammer, right? Yeah. Looks like a fucking linebacker, dude. And he's like, "What do you want?" And I was like, "Motherfucker! Like, yo, you're supposed like all these other people came to me and they're like, come to us, come to us." He's like, "What do you want?" And I was like, "Fuck, I don't know." Like, in that moment, I don't know. And he pulls out this, he reaches into his desk. It's like 9:30, 10:30 in the morning. He reaches into his desk and he pulls out this Crown Royal bag. And I'm like, oh shit. And he dumps out these tiles. And on these tiles, it says things like, travel the world, blow shit up, see exotic places, make your own fucking financial destiny, exotic women. And I was like, yo, I want all those. And he just puts it back in the fucking bag, cinches it up, and he reaches his hand out. And he says, become a United States Marine then. And I was like, fuck, I don't know. And he plays the video and he shows me videos of boot camp and lifting. Then he pulls out all these photos of him going to fucking Lake Havasu and all these tits all over the place, and going to New Orleans and fucking Mardi Gras. And I was like, God damn,
this motherfucker's good.
Yeah, boy. He hit all my points. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, fuck it. Let's go. Let's go, baby. I need to get out of this small ass town. I need to go see the world, and I need to go and fucking do this stuff. And this is July of 2003, and we had just invaded Iraq. So it's scary as fuck, right? It's like, you're going to war, son. You're going to fucking war. Like, you're joining during a fucking, like, this isn't Afghanistan where there's a few things going on here and there and all this other stuff, right? Even though later on it ramped up, and that's where I saw the majority of my combat. But Iraq, that was a fucking full-blown mechanized war. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, the potential for you to go and fucking be on the front lines, especially as a Marine, is like damn near 80%. It's like, all right, let's fucking go. So yeah, I ended up joining the military, served for 9 years. Saw a whole bunch of combat, worked with special operations, did a whole bunch of stuff there, and then found myself on the front lines of battle and sang in Afghanistan in 2010, where I was literally
like in boot camp. Did you suck? Did you want to quit at any point? When did you start working out and being the tank that you are now? Like, were you working out in high school?
So I was working out before I joined the Marine Corps. I had about
what were you doing?
Months. I was just bodybuilding. I was just bodybuilding.
Bro,
I was just trying to get. Yeah, I was still trying to just fuck girls and look good and all that other stuff. And I was just getting in there, drinking fucking ephedra and just hammering fucking weights.
You were taking ephedra?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Dude, that shit.
That's when it was legal.
What was
2003?
What was it called? It was popular in America. What was it? It was that one company. Shit, I forget what it called. But yeah, I know ephedra was legal. It was it was mainstream. I forgot.
Oh, so good.
I forgot what
I know what you're talking about. You're not talking about Hydroxycut, are you?
Yeah, Hydroxycut. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I was drinking this drink right beforehand. It was from IFBB. That was just this like ephedra drink. And I would just get that every single time. And it was like, I remember I'd be sitting there fucking curling, and my fucking mind muscle connection, like I was so in the zone, I could just feel the pump surging. Like I would sit there and I'd just like kind of like space out and just be there like lifting. And I was like, this is the fucking best. Like Arnold talks about it in his movie. He's just like, it's just like coming, dude, coming all the time.
Did you ever drink the red lines, bro?
Oh my God, of course I did, dude.
That is like cocaine in a bottle, dude. This shit, I drank one of these things and I was legit tweaking out. Let me show you guys in the chat who don't, you guys want to see. Bro, I had these things right here are dangerous, man. They only recommend you drink half of it. I was a lot lighter then. I was like 150 and I drank this whole thing and I was like having heart palpitations. But
yo,
like,
I think that's exactly what the other thing I was drinking too during that time. It was like And that had ephedra in it too at the time.
This stuff could kill. If you gave this bottle to a Chihuahua, I think the Chihuahua would die. Yeah. That's how fucking strong it is.
Bro, I'm taking, right now in life, I'm taking Gorilla Mind Rush. And this shit is fucking close to that. But without that like crazy, like, rah, and then the crazy crash. Yeah. This shit's so fucking good, man. I love it. Yeah, dude. I watched a whole platoon of Marines throw huge rocks at each other while waiting for a patrol to kick off in Afghanistan just to kill time. Oh my God, dude.
Marines so yeah, let me ask you something. So you finished boot camp, and then did you directly go to Afghanistan?
No. Well, Iraq was the major push at that point in time.
So where did you do your tours?
I did. So right after I finished boot camp, believe it or not, I actually got stationed in Okinawa. So from 2004 to 2006, I was in Okinawa, away from all the war, and I was going to places like Korea, and doing all sorts of stuff like that, right? Because when you're in the Pacific, Korea, you're only focused on the Pacific theater.
You know what the fastest way to get E5 in the Marines is?
Tell me.
Go to Korea as an E6.
I love that.
Those guys are animals out there.
Yeah, dude. No, it's so true. It's so true. Fuck, Okinawa's getting that bad too, though.
Yeah. They hate Americans out there.
So yeah. Anyway, so from there, I came back to the States in 2006. I went through a school for about a year, and from there I was like, all right, I'm fucking tired of this stuff. Like, let's go to war. And got orders directly out of that schoolhouse to go to a unit that was deploying to Iraq. Didn't hit Iraq until 2008, believe it or not.
Oh, wow. So this is like 4 years after you joined.
This is like 4 years after I joined. Yeah, exactly.
How long were you in the Marines?
9 years.
Wow. So you re-signed because they don't do 9 contracts, right?
So I got a crazy story for you. I talked about this in War Story Sunday, one of my old things that I used to do. But I'm sitting in Iraq in 2008. I'm like 23, 24 years old. I just got promoted to sergeant. Right when I got into Iraq, March of 2008, pretty much all the significant actions had died off. What that means is like the war is pretty much like dying down. But I was sitting there. So believe it or not, during that time frame, my first enlistment, I was a meteorologist. As shitty as, like, I did not sign up for that. So this is where the recruiters get you too, by the way. I wanted to be a door gunner out of a fucking Huey. He's like, all right, so you need to sign up under aviation operations, then you need to become a crew chief, and then you could become a door gunner. And he's like, but there's also 4 other MOSs that fall in line under here. You might be air traffic control, which you won't get. Don't worry about that. Or you could get meteorology, which they're closing that MOS down, so you're definitely not going to get meteorology. And I was like, all right, cool, sign me up. Let's do this.
Did you want to be like the guy from
crew chief, right? He's like, yeah.
For a platoon, when he's the guy, the
Full Metal Jacket, the guy,
Full Metal Jacket, when he's like shoot them, he's like the ones that run are, he's like the ones that run are Viet Cong.
Don't lead them as much.
He's like the ones that don't run are well trained Viet Cong. And he's just, it's terrible that we're laughing at this, but he's just mowing down all these Vietnamese people.
How can you kill women and children? You just don't lead them as much. Fucking savage
animals, dude.
No, there's guys like that in the Marine Corps too, for sure. Like,
dude, I believe it, man.
Sociopaths. Like,
I went to the torture camps last year.
Fuck, are you kidding me?
In Saigon, man, dude.
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude. Those Vietnamese people, bro, they definitely hated us. I mean, no offense to American people, but like, I can understand why they tortured us the way they did in the war. I'm not justifying it at all, but like, I was going through that thing, and like my little innocent Japanese girlfriend was with me, and she's like, can we just go get some coconuts? We went upstairs to like they have it used to be an internment camp for American soldiers where they tortured soldiers. And they had like the actual cells where they tortured them. You can go inside and see where they shackled these guys up. You know, they did the Vietnamese rope trick. You know what I mean? You know what that one is?
Yeah.
When they tie so the Vietnamese rope trick, for you guys that don't know in the audience, is like they tie your wrist in front of you and then they pull your wrist all the way back behind you, dislocating both of your shoulders and snapping them out of the socket. We saw where they harnessed them up with that. We saw where they put the bamboo shoots under their fingernails.
Yep, that shit's crazy.
We saw all this crazy ass shit, and then the main building is a museum, and then you can see actual, bodies and like pictures of bodies and stuff from all the biological warfare the Americans were doing to them. And good Lord, man, war is fucking hell, dude. Good Lord.
It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, again, the old adage goes, man, I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a fucking gardener in a war. You got to learn this stuff. We are a warring species. It is never going to go away. Never, never, never. All these
fucking bugs in it too. You ever see that movie War Dogs?
I haven't.
Watch that movie.
No, oh mate.
With Jonah Hill.
Yeah, with Jonah Hill. I've seen it. I've seen it. Yeah, dude, this is, I mean, fucking war's a racket, man. I believe that was either Chesty or it was it Dan Daly? Fucking two-time Medal of Honor recipient in World War I or II. And he just like war's a racket. He learned that quickly. You learn about that too, man. That's one of the biggest things that I woke up to in Afghanistan. I'm sitting here patrolling through fucking fields and fields and fields of opium.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, why are all these fields of opium here? Why is it that why can't we destroy this stuff? If this is fueling the fucking Taliban, why can't we destroy it? It's like, oh, I know why. I know why. Why is it that Oxycontin has surged since 2001? Why is it that so many people are addicted to fucking opiates here in the United States? This is, man. And then not to mention, so going back to my story. So here I am, I'm a weather forecaster in Iraq, right? And I already hit the glass ceiling of being
today. Job done. It's going to be hot today.
Yeah, dude, fucking the most degrading fucking job I've ever had in my life.
Chance of rain today, 0. For the next 6 months,
so bad. Now, I'll tell you one thing. Weather in Iraq and weather when it comes to war, tremendously important, right? Especially because aviation, troop movements, all this other stuff. A camel could fart in the middle of the desert in Iraq, and it would cause a fucking blackout for 3 fucking miles, right? You can't fly rotary wing through that stuff. So very, very important. But at the same time, it was just very, it just wasn't me. And I had a situation happen. So this is like the first month that I'm in there. I got 6 more months to go on my deployment, 6-7 months left to go. And I've already hit the peak, right? I'm working 18 hours a day, looking at models and all this other stuff for weather, putting out my 4-day, 7-day forecast, talking to all these people. I'm like, man, this is going to be my life for the next, if I decide to stay in for 20 years, next 16 years. I was like, this is fucking garbage. And then a missed report comes across my screen, obviously because the Kazovac bird is right outside my door. So I'm in an important job because that Kazovac bird, the first person they call whenever someone gets hurt, the first person they call is me.
What's a Kazovac bird?
Kazovac is a casualty evacuation bird, right?
A bird is a plane, helicopter?
A bird is a helicopter. Yeah, sorry. Okay. So it's a Huey that's converted into being able to be a first response to be able to triage wounded individuals, right? Mm-hmm. So whenever someone gets blown up, someone gets shot, like they fly that bird in there, land, pull them out and get them back as fast as possible to the medical tent, right? Mm-hmm. So that Kazovac bird is right outside of my door. Anytime something happens, the first person they call is me. Hey, are we clear to go? There's nothing that's going to stop us from being able to get there, right? Yeah.
One of these right here?
Perfect. Exactly. God, I love Hueys too.
They're beautiful.
I love them. That's actually what made me join the military. Seeing
the Apache is one of my favorite, but this is a great one.
Yeah, the Apache's gnarly. That Cobra, that's right up top there too. Your top, the skinny one, second picture right there. Those things are gnarly. Yeah, those things are fucking so cool.
This one?
No, that's a Huey. Shit, my bad. You'll see a Cobra. They're like super skinny. They kind of look like Apaches, but not really.
Did it have the medical signs on it like this one?
I don't think ours did, just because that's usually used in the Army. Right? No, that's used in the Army. Okay. We don't use, our medical staff is all Navy. That's a Cobra right there.
Here?
Nope. Up into the, yeah, right there.
This one?
Up one more.
This one.
Yeah, those things are fucking bad, dude. They look like little fucking hornets, bro. They're so sick. So the Hueys will fly with those Cobras. The Cobras will have all the missiles and a Gatling gun on the front. And then the Hueys will have a fucking minigun on the side door. Jesus. And they fly as like a 4-pack. And they'll fly around and they'll just buzz. And they'll just fucking just light people up, dude. It was fucking insane. We've gotten into gunfights in Afghanistan. I have, where we've been surrounded. And we'll call these dudes in, and they'll just fucking, within like 200 meters of us, just fucking light these people up. Insane. Ooh. So I'm in Iraq at this point in time, And something important, something crazy happens. There's a suicide bomber outside of our base, and a small base contingent outside of our base going to Ramadi. No one knew about it. 2,500 pounds of explosives packed into the cement truck, barreling down on a barracks where there's 100 some odd Iraqi police being trained by a platoon of Marines. And they're trying to blow these barracks up. And there's 2 Marines that are on post that are holding a machine gun, and there's a serpentine. And this thing is barreling down on them. They literally have 4 seconds to make a decision whether to shoot or not and all this stuff. And they unload these 2 Marines, 19 years old and 22 years old, Hale and Yater. And they fucking stop the truck before it enters. But
where
then
did they shoot it? The engine, the tires?
The engine and him. Yeah, him. Like, they just fucking lit the grill up, dude. Just bah, 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 bah. Stops the truck, almost kills the guy. No, they're using a 240 Bravo and a 249 Saw, which are fucking epic guns.
Yeah. Those are
2 of my favorites.
Called Saws, right? Squad automatic weapon, or
yeah, squad automatic weapon. Yeah, and then the 240 Bravo is just a 7.62 by 3.9. It's fucking beast. So they light this grill up, and the dude in his dying fucking moment clacks off the fucking what's it called? Huge eruption. You guys can watch the video. It's fucking gnarly. And it kills the 2 of them, these 2 young Marines.
Oh,
but they saved the lives of all 300 people in the barracks behind them.
Oh my God.
So I get the missed report coming across. I'm the first person to really hear about this stuff. And they call up really quickly, the Kazakh bird, and they're like, yo, we got to go. Can we go? And I'm like, yeah, go. Coast is clear. And then I read through the missed report afterwards, and I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking, I'm 23 years old, best shape of my life. I'm a sergeant, and I'm sitting on this base, man, where I'm just like protected from most things besides like mortar attacks and maybe like a stray person working their way on base that could just go off, right? So I'm not on the front lines. This is fucking bullshit, right? And I see this 19-year-old and this 22-year-old who just gave up their life. And I'm like, you are a fucking bitch, Corey. Like, you're a bitch. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're supposed to be out there, right? You need to be doing something. And I remember hearing about this MOS where I was like, what if there's something I could have done? What if I could have found out information about that suicide bomber or whatever? Yeah. And my brain,
those guys your friends?
They weren't my friends. No, I didn't know them, but it just hit me. It was like, because I'm 23 years old, I have no family. I'm a sergeant. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm a Marine. Like, dude, what are you doing? You're bitch made. You're bitching out. Like, you should be out there. You need to get out there, dude.
Yeah.
So the thing was, I had to change jobs. And I remember this job where it's called counterintelligence, human intelligence, where you literally are able to find out information before it happens by running source networks. You literally become James Bond, so to speak, right? So I was like, fuck yeah, I need to do this. So I start researching it on the internet real quick. I try to find out who I could call in order to do that. And I make a phone call back to Camp Pendleton, California, right then and there in Iraq, rather. I call back to this unit and I go, hey, I want to be you. And they're like, the guy on the end like laughs. I'm like, I'm in Iraq right now, dude. Like, I need to get on the front line. They're like, you know how hard it is to get into this MOS? And I was like, yeah, I saw all of this stuff. Like, you need to have all these things. You need to go through like a 6-month fucking vetting process. Then you need to sit on a board where these guys that are trained to interrogate people fucking drill you for hours to see if you're made up of all this stuff. And then not just that, once you're accepted and approved, you have to go to the 2nd hardest school in the DOD outside of Buds. And he's like, are you sure you want to go through this process? And I said, send me the fucking package right now. So he sends me the package. It takes me 4 months to go through this process. Like, I get it done as fast as I fucking can. And then I sit on the board here in Iraq. They flew 4 fucking people out via helicopter to my location to board me. This is like, I'm telling you, this is like high level stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And I sit on this board for like 4 hours, 6 hours, and these guys are just fucking grilling me. They're throwing out everything they possibly can. Like, they broke me down shotgun style real quick, finding out all my fucking fears, finding out my hot buttons, all this other stuff, right? And one of my greatest fears is fucking actually like singing in front of people, like singing
really?
And dancing. Yeah, dude. I mean, I could speak in front of people, but I'm kind of somewhat over that now. Like, I'm no fucking Elton John or fucking.
I love karaoke.
I fucking hate it, dude.
Give me an audience karaoke, right now.
You're not gonna catch me there. So they're like, right now, get up and sing us a song.
Really? How does this even correlate to training?
Well, essentially, really what it comes down to is, are you willing? So you run source operations, and you kind of got to be able to like mold yourself to these sources, right? It's like, can you get out of your comfort zone? Like, for instance, in Afghanistan, like these guys like to hold hands.
Who?
The guys.
The men? The Afghani men?
The men. So like the police chief, when I was in Afghanistan, I'd have to walk around with them sometimes holding hands.
That's cute.
Just because it's like, hey, we're friends, buddy. Like, this is what's going on, right? So it's like, can you break through?
Massage each other.
Yeah, no, fuck that though.
It's like,
I mean, obviously you're masculine. I'm masculine enough where it's
like,
like you don't. There's nothing that's going to happen here, but like that's what they do. That's part of their culture.
I'm gonna
like,
massage hands in Las Vegas.
Let's do it, dude. I like my feet rubbed. That's my central spot. So the main thing too is it's like, are you willing to go the distance? So I get up, man. I get up there and I'm like, fuck, what do I sing? What do I sing? And I just fucking go into this fucking crazy welcome to the jungle. I'm screaming at the fucking top of my lungs, playing the air guitar, fucking headbanging and all this other stuff. And these guys literally break fucking composure 100%. One dude is literally on the ground, grabbing his belly, fucking laughing his ass off. And they're like, all right. And then they're like, go sit down again. So I go sit down and they look at each other and they go, well. And then the lieutenant looks at me and goes, welcome aboard. And I was just like, fuck me, dude. Like one of the greatest moments of my life where I was just accepted into this fucking elite unit.
Yeah.
Pretty much from that point in time, once I got out of Iraq, I had orders to Camp Pendleton, California to check into this unit, go directly to the schoolhouse, go through this crazy fucking training of pretty much learning to become a fucking spy, interrogate people, source operations, counterintelligence, all this other stuff. Our schoolhouse is on like one of the most fucking secret bases on the planet. Like crazy shit. And then I get back and then the next thing I know, I'm getting ready to ship out and go to fucking Afghanistan and pretty much be a fucking lone operator going through and collecting information and reporting it to like the highest levels of authority. So man, it was fucking nuts. Absolutely nuts. Yeah. Ended up on the front lines of battle too with British 40 Commandos, SAS, CIA, whole bunch of stuff, dude. Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
So let's talk about post-military and your kind of awakening, if you will, in regards to the red pill nature.
Beautiful.
When did that start? When did it click? Did you have like the stereotypical story? Like, were you a dork not having sex in high school, or were you broken heart, or what happened?
I've always been decent at being able to get tail, but the problem was before it was always about being lucky, and of course I was always obsessed with trying to, obtain an LTR. And I've up to this point, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I've not yet had a long-term relationship that's lasted longer than a year. That one that I had that lasted a year was long distance, right? So other than that, like a close proximity, LTR, 6 months or more. And it's because I always put all these things onto the relationship of like, oh, it needs to be this way, right? This blue pill mentality of like, I need to supplicate, I need to do X, Y, Z, right? And, you know, when I started turning 30, so I got out of the military at 27, 28, 9 years. So yeah, 19 there we go. Owned a CrossFit gym. Started that right while I was getting out of the military. Owned a CrossFit gym.
What year was that?
What's that? This was 2013.
So 5 years, or when did you get out? When 2013. Okay, let me ask you this. You got out in 13. Why didn't you resign? Why did you say, like, I'm done?
There's a long story there, but I'll shorten it just so we can keep going.
Don't go full Aaron on me, but
yeah, exactly. So when I was in Afghanistan, I did something that was rather heroic. And I was supposed to receive a really high award for that.
Which one?
It was rumored that I was going to receive either a Bronze Star or Silver Star.
Oh, wow.
Because I sacrificed myself and carried people across a field that was laden with IEDs while we were being ambushed by the Taliban from 4 different positions. We were out in the open getting shot at, and I just kind of like Forrest Gumped it and ran back and forth. And
I think that's worthy of a story to hear. One's in the chat if you guys want to hear this one. I want to hear it.
Yeah,
I don't give a shit. If you don't like it, get the fuck out of here. I want to hear
it. Cool.
Tell me about this story. So this is, this is like, instead of sitting here and jerking off on how you should fucking marry a single mom, let's put some quality content out here.
Yeah, I feel it. All right. So I was in the deadliest place in Afghanistan at this point in time, sang in Afghanistan. We're replacing the British 40 Commando, mainly because they're just taking on so many casualties. Sang in Afghanistan is the hub of everything that's going on in Afghanistan at the time. The top 10 HVIs, high valued individuals, are in there. So I'm working with SAS at this point in time. I'm working with British MI5. I'm working with CIA, all these people, and I'm collecting information and going out on patrol to lay out the land to try to figure out like where these guys are at. Right.
Taliban.
Yes. The highest level. The way I like to look at it is like, the bar in Tatooine.
Yeah.
With all the bad guys when they walk into it. That's what Sang in Afghanistan is. It's Jesus. Like, it is the hub of all the baddest dudes that are running guns, running heroin, smuggling fucking, what's it called? Ammo and IED stuff in there. It's the hub. And I'm there as a lone operator, one of the first 14 Marines to go into that as we're starting to get ready to do this. And I have the task of collecting all the information on everybody there, which is a huge task, but I'm up for it, right? So I start going out on patrols too. And this one particular day was like the 5th patrol that I had gone out on. And by this point in time, I've made friends with some of the American guys that are there. One in particular is my friend Justice Bartel, staff sergeant at the time. He was a 0369, which means he was a infantry platoon sergeant. And he'd been sitting behind the desk the entire time that we've been there because he's just been coordinating so much. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to go out with you guys today because another young Marine was going to go out with us, Corporal Keene. He's like, let's all go out. There's probably like 27, 28 of us that are going to go out on this patrol, and we're going to go on a pretty long patrol. It's July 16th, 2010. It's 132 degrees out in Afghanistan at this point in time with 90% humidity. We're all carrying about 100 pounds of gear. So it's like, we're going out. We're going out there and we're going to go and fucking find some stuff and try to figure out what the fuck is going on here and let the Taliban know that there's a presence. So we're walking around. It's about 2-3 hours into the patrol. We're like, all right, let's start circling back to our main base. We didn't see much. And we go, my stick. So we separated into 2 sticks, each about 12 to 15 people.
What's a stick? Our stick, like a platoon?
Yeah, just so instead of it being a platoon, it's just like a squad plus. So a squad is usually about 12 to 13 people, right? 12 people exactly. And so we break up into 2 sticks kind of deal. We push forward in order to cover for them as they're walking back behind us about 100 feet. So we're looping in order to kind of maintain our 360 presence. And I remember getting this kind of like spidey sense, and I end up turning around and looking, and all of a sudden I just see a fucking mushroom cloud 100 feet behind me.
Oh no.
And I see a fucking entire leg ride up that mushroom cloud. And we take cover because all the fucking shrapnel and everything like that is starting to fall down on us. And someone starts screaming. He's like, a foot fucking hit me. So we know it's bad, right? I see the leg. He gets hit by a foot. He grabs the foot, puts it in his fucking backpack, believe it or not. And we run over in order to go and start triaging whoever stepped on that IED, right? And I walk
it was
up.
an IED, huh?
Yeah, we got hit. It was a
what an IED is like a
improvised explosive device. Normally what they do,
device, and they bury like something under the ground if you step on it.
They put HME, homemade explosives, into a palm jug, right? A palm oil jug, which can usually hold up to about 40 pounds of explosives. Then they bury it about 1.5 feet underneath the ground, and then they water it so that it doesn't leave up any of the tracks. And they usually put some kind of, there's 3 devices. It can either be remote, which we didn't see much of. It could be a pull string, which means somebody has to be there watching and time it perfectly. Or it can be pressure plate, which the majority of things were pressure plated. And these guys were really smart. So we had metal detectors called Valens, and they would put such little metal in it that we could barely detect it. So it was like, it's Russian roulette, man. Every single step you take, you're fearful. Like this is something that people don't talk about. Like it's fucking so goddamn scary. It's so scary walking around out there alone, right? We're in this war zone, right? In Sang in Afghanistan. I'll tell you guys this. We went and we brought in a tractor at one point in time in order to clear out 1/4 mile of road. We found 88 IEDs in 1/4 mile of this stretch. That's how many fucking IEDs were in the ground. So it's like, you've already signed off that you're either going to die or get fucking maimed, right?
Jesus Christ.
Terrible. So I run up to the blast site. There's 10 other people that are sitting around kind of deal, and there's 3 wounded. I see one dude who's sitting there and his face is just covered in fucking burns. Another dude who just has shrapnel up his rib cage from getting peppered with all this stuff. And then right there on the ground, I see my good buddy Justice. And I don't want to go into the gory details, but he's not in good shape. The leg that I saw fly up that, what's it called, was his leg. He's missing body parts. He's really, really in bad shape. And I'm seeing him take these breaths that I've never seen a human being take in his life. It's fucking just like so pampered. Like it's a breath like every 30 seconds. And it's just like, and I'm just like, fuck, this guy, he's dead. I'm like, and there's nothing I can fucking do about it. So I just remember looking at him in that moment. I'm just kind of like staring at him as they're triaging him. I'm like, there's only one thing I could do at this moment. And it's just like reassure him that he's going to be okay. And it's like, fuck, man, you can't. So one of the other guys comes up to me. He's like, hey man, come on, let's go. We got to fucking start clearing the way and get it ready for us to be able to casevac these guys out. We got to get them on stretchers and we got to move. He's like, fuck, the only thing we can do right now is we got to go across this open field. It's a football field and a half length of open field, which is just like the worst strategy ever. But we got to get these guys to a casualty collection site ASAP, right? So that we can have a helicopter, or we can have, we actually had ATVs that were like running from our main base with like a trailer on the back to like get them there back to our main base so that they could get them right into triage right then and there. So it's like, we got to fucking hustle. So we send one person out to start clearing the way for IEDs and all this other stuff, trying to clear the way. And we get the
How do you clear for IEDs? You have a metal detector?
You got a metal detector, dude. And it's like, it's, you know, it's just whatever. Like,
is it not really a good idea? Is it kind of
sometimes
bullshit?
It works. Sometimes you catch them. Sometimes you don't, man. It's like,
Jesus Christ.
And the person that's the metal detector guy is like the first person to get fucking blown up. So fucking big props to Marine Corps engineers that fucking go out there and walk the line for us. Those guys, man, holy shit. That's some brass balls. I would never do it, to be honest with you. So dude comes back and he's like, I found one IED. He's like, I marked it with a white flag. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go kind of deal. And we're like all coordinated. I've got stuff all, whatever. Right. And I pick up the stretcher. So, and, we start getting ready to move out. And I'm telling you, this guy starts walking down this path. There's one guy that's 15 feet in front of me. There's another guy that's 5 feet in front of me. And then I'm behind this guy getting ready to go. And the guy that was 15 feet in front of me starts walking. And all of a sudden, I just see the guy in front of me starts turning and diving. And then I see a fucking ball of fire just fucking launch at me. And I close my eyes and I get thrown into a fucking wall 15 feet behind me. And then the next thing I know, I'm waking up like 30 seconds later or whatever. And I'm hearing the fucking little rocks hit my helmet. And I'm like, holy fuck, I'm dead. The dude 15 feet in front of me stepped on another fucking IED.
Jesus Christ.
I'm waking up and I'm just sitting here and I'm touching my body. And I'm like, am I in one piece? Am I in one piece? Like, where the fuck am I? What the fuck's going on? Right. And I'm just like, fuck, dude, this is hell. This is fucking hell. Holy shit. Right? Like, up until that point, dude, like, war to me and to us, it was like a one-way street. We were just fucking up everybody, right? Barely any casualties. It was just like, yeah, no big deal. Lost like maybe 2 Marines up to that point due to like gunfights and stuff like that. But this is just unreal happening. We got 5 casualties now, 2 KIA, 3 wounded. The dude that stepped on that fucking IED lost all 4 limbs and died in that very moment. He took the entire brunt of that fucking explosion.
Was he your friend?
Oh no, he was a British Royal Marine named Rosie. No, sorry, man. That wasn't Rosie. That was Crooksy. Crooksy died that day. Rosie just he was blinded. It was bad. And Justice subsequently did die too. But anyway, what ended up happening was in that moment, we had to set up another cordon, right? Which is a 360. Everyone's pissed at this point in time. So this is what happens is the second those IDs go off, we start looking around because then the mopeds start going off. The Taliban get on these mopeds like the fucking VC used to do. And they go and they get in their machine gun positions to get set up because they know the next thing that we're going to be doing is moving out our casualties. So we're sitting ducks almost at this point in time. So some kind of crazy thing happened in that moment. I'll skip that part of the story. I'll tell that at a different time. Okay. But anyway, we end up getting ready, and I'm in one piece at this point in time. And they're like, Corey, let's go. Let's carry these casualties across this field. Like, we got to keep going. We got to move. We got 5 casualties now. There's 5 essentially bodies that we need to carry. 3 of them are obviously still alive, but they're in bad shape and can't move. And then 2 of them are wounded. So it's like, we got to go. And mind you guys, so it's 132 degrees outside. We've been on patrol now for 4 hours, and we've just hit 2 IEDs. And now I got to pick up a human body, right, and carry it 140 yards across this open field where there's more IEDs.
The guy Justice, you got to pick him up?
I didn't carry Justice, to be honest with you. I was carrying, what's his name? Crooksy.
Okay.
So we got a stretcher. It's 4 of us. It's not just me. And we got to go across this field, and we run across this field, and we're moving as fast as we can with all our gear on still and all this other stuff. Like I said, 132 degrees, your heart's pumping. Like, it's just fucking chaos, right? And I drop off Crooksy onto the ATV, and I just hit the ground, and I start panting like you wouldn't believe, right? Like, hardest workout I've ever done in my life, as crazy as that sounds. And I remember sitting there, all 4 of us had collapsed, carrying this thing, carrying our guy, sorry. And I remember somebody screaming. They're like, there's more Marines back there. Get up. And I got up, and I just start fucking running across this open field to go back and get more people. And in that moment, I didn't realize this, but nobody else had gotten up and ran across the field with me. So I grabbed the stretcher of this other one, of another guy. This was the guy that was standing right in front of me, that was turning as that IED was hitting me. He had shrapnel all up and down his ass and legs and couldn't move, couldn't walk. And he's actually on a ladder. We're using a ladder to carry him. And I remember running across the field. And then the next thing I know, I'm sitting here, and like everything's like muted. And I'm sitting here kind of thinking these thoughts, like, why did nobody else run back with me? Who cares? Don't worry about it. Just get them to the casualty collection point. And then all of a sudden, there's an explosion above my head, 40 feet above me. It's a fucking RPG. Oh. I was just like, I remember looking up at the fucking explosion of this RPG, and I was like, that's a fucking RPG. And then I remember looking in front of me as I'm running across this field, and I'm just seeing these fucking pockmarks on the ground. I'm like, fuck, that's machine gun fire. And I remember turning my eyes and looking at the tree line, and I see fucking 4 muzzle flashes just going pop, 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 pop. And I'm looking at the trail in front of me, and it's like getting peppered. And the only thing I could do is just keep running.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy fuck, we're getting ambushed. And I look in front of us, and the other people that were carrying the Marine before me are sitting there on this berm, and they're fucking returning fire and coordinating attacks on that position. I'm like,
yeah, that's why. Strikes, or
we're calling in Apaches, we're calling in gunships, we're calling in whatever the fuck, because we're out in the fucking open, dude. You know, It's like this is not good. We got, out of the 20 people that were out on that patrol, 5 of them are fucking injured. There's 15 people that have guns up right now. We're fucked, right? Like, we're fucked, and we're carrying all these people. So I go and I drop off this guy, and I'm like, what do I do in this moment? And I was just like, the only thing I could do was I turned back around, and I just fucking ran back across this open field where we're getting lit up. And I go back, and I look for more casualties. And luckily there was 2 or 3 people that were still back there, and they're like, hey mate, there's nobody else here, but grab all this gear. So they throw 3 or 4 fucking guns on me. They throw a backpack full of ammo and all this other stuff that we left behind. And they're like, go back over to
pounds right there, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm running across this field with all my gear plus the extra gear. And I'm just running across this field while we're getting fucking engaged. And I end up getting back to that spot, right? And now all 15 of us are sitting there, and we're just all sitting there and fucking just returning fire. Like, things are getting fucking lit up. There's like 50 cal machine guns that are going off from our fucking gun tower. They're lobbing fucking grenades and all this other stuff. We're throwing out as much smoke as possible. And we're trying to cover our tracks so that we can go and do all this other business. We're trying to get to like some kind of safety, right? So finally, the gunships and stuff come in. We're able to kind of go and find some cover, and we kind of regroup and reassess, reload. And then we're like, all right, man, we got to make the plunge. We got to like run back to base and just let the gunships and the aircraft kind of take control of this, because we're sitting ducks. So from there, we recoup, kind of collect ourselves over 15 minutes, drink a little bit of water. I smoke a cigarette because I'm like, fuck this shit.
You earned it.
Yeah,
You definitely earned
exactly. And they're like, all right, hey guys, everybody get your smoke grenades out. We're going to fucking throw smoke and we're going to run back, kind of deal. Right. So then we end up running back, and we get back, and like everybody, the second we get back to our main base, we just kind of fucking collapse on the ground. There's people waiting for us there. Colonel Paul Kennedy's waiting, and the chaplain, who's a full bird. Well, he's a captain in the Navy, which is a full bird colonel in the United States Marine Corps. And he's sitting there, this old timer dude. And he comes up to me. He's like, "You all right, son?" I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm all right." And like, I got burns on my hands from the IED and all this other stuff. And I don't really have any wounds that I'm really like, there's no real wounds. Like, I'm not bleeding or anything like that. So I don't report any of my wounds. I didn't think that getting burnt was really worthy of a Purple Heart, to be honest with you. So
right.
Didn't report that or anything like that. So the colonel comes up to me after that, Colonel Paul Kennedy, and he's like, "Hey, son, I just wanted you to know that I heard what you did out there." He's like, "That was some fucking heroic shit." And I'm getting with, because he wasn't in charge of me directly. He's like, "I'm getting with your lieutenant and I'm having him write you up for a very distinguishable award." I was like, "Awesome." He's like, "And I just want you to know, I wanted to be the first to tell you that justice didn't make it." And I looked at him and I shook my head and I said, "You know what, sir? I kind of knew that was going to happen." He's like, "We still got work to do." And I was like, "You got it. Like, don't worry about it. Like, I'm on it." So that happened, right? And from there on out, I started getting phone calls from other teammates and other people that were in my unit. And they were calling me up and they're like, "Bro, like, we heard what you did, man. That's fucking crazy. We're so glad that you're alive, man." All this other stuff. They're like, "We hear that you're getting written up for a fucking Bronze Star or Silver Star." And in my mind, I was like, fuck, that's crazy. Cause like, in a way, like I didn't have any familial legacy at that point in time. And I was the first one to ever join the Marine Corps and do all this other stuff. In that moment, when I was doing all this stuff, I didn't really think that, I wasn't doing it to get an award. I was doing it because
of course
that was my
not.
job.
No, you're not like,
duty,
"Hey,
right?
let me fucking, I
Like
think I could get a Bronze Star if I go save this guy's life."
Exactly.
Let me, I don't think
so.
No, man. You're just naturally good guy.
It was a response. It was just the way things are, right?
Oh, this is funny. What Eric Von Wedel writes, "And women want to be in combat."
Yeah, I had a good conversation with.
You think a woman could have dragged that guy with?
There's no chance in hell. There's no chance in hell. There's zero fucking chance in hell, dude. And Abu American and I did a podcast yesterday where I highlight. It wasn't this exact story, but I go into detail why women should not be in the military. We talked about it. So, excuse me, if you want to hear that conversation, for sure, go and check that out.
They definitely shouldn't.
It weakens posture.
I'll just say I watched one of these Antifa things that happened in Portland the other day, and what's funny is like there was a girl there trying to be all gangster with all these dudes, and I'm just thinking like, this is peak female delusion. This is peak female delusion.
You're not talking about the girl that has dreads and does Harry Bush porn, is it?
No. She got slept. That was fucking solid. But these chicks that like, they want to be part of the Antifa, and they think it's always ugly girls too. It's never pretty girls.
Yeah.
But like, she thought that they just think that they can roll with dudes and like get physical and stuff, and they only get gangster when there's a bunch of dudes around them. But I mean, my solution with those girls, real quick, it's going to be pretty savage. But if they hit you, honestly, you have to like viciously beat the shit out of them because in Portland it's a stand your ground state, so you're legally allowed to do this. But if they attack you, they need to be viciously attacked, and it needs to go viral on the internet to show other women like, listen, this is a man's world. Like Oprah's full of shit, The View's full of shit. You want to be a man, you want to be a gangster, you know what men do? We fight. Come, let's knuckle up. If there's a reason
why we have all this aggression. There's a reason
if there's equality in the sexes, this fight will end in a draw. So let's do it. Let's do it. Feminism, rah rah rah. That shit really pisses me off because I saw her. She was doing another one of these Antifa girls. She was bullying two people that are like probably in their 80s, like literally walking across the street, probably 6 inches per 30 seconds. Like, that's how slow and old they were. And she's getting gangster like that. those kind of chicks piss me off. That's what I'm saying. When I hear stuff like this, and and like I said, when you have this fat fucking loser DDJ talking like he's some kind of gangster, if anybody should be talking like that, it should be you, because you really are a gangster. Like, not only on the BJJ mats as a purple belt, not only you're built like a fucking titan as well, and you have all this war history stuff, but like like one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Like, and like I just not in a not in a bitch ass way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. There's a balance to it.
I don't know. That just righteously gets me upset. But anyway, sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent there.
Dude, I love it. Don't worry about it.
That's my
show.
So
long story short is this, really what it comes down to. Yeah, exactly. What it comes down to is my lieutenant was, and this is the times of where the military is at, where it's all about pageantry and bureaucracy. And people join the military, especially as officers, with the mindset that they're going to be in, and this is going to end up turning into their lifestyle, right? Their the way that they make money, like their business. So people protect their own interests. So my lieutenant obviously decided to not write me up for that award and did his best to ensure that it got squashed.
Why did he do that?
It's ego. The guy actually said it to me. He said, if we were to give you this level of award, we believe that your ego would go out of control and we wouldn't be able to control you. So it was one of those things where it was just like, hey, the reality is I'm jealous and I don't want you to have it, so you're not getting it.
I hate
right. So
like
that I ended up, what ended up happening was there was a little bit of a revolt in a way within my unit. People ended up pulling that guy aside, and they ended up writing me up for the lowest level award you can give somebody.
What's that?
So I did end up getting an award for it. However, everyone knew that it was all bullshit.
What award did you get?
I got a Navy Achievement Medal with Valor, with a Valor device. So it was kind of like, hey, shut the fuck up kind of deal to everybody. Like, hey, we gave him something. At least there's something, instead of actually giving someone what they truly deserved and merited. And especially in a situation like that. That's not like, I went out and I volunteered my services for 200 hours and I could just repeat that. It's like, that's something that's raw, that is like a once in a lifetime type of thing. And then not just that too, man. It's like one of those things where, back in the day, when it was just a men's club, men recognize men for doing masculine and heroic stuff. Right. Yeah, I do. I'm wearing Leighton right now, baby. I had to revisit it. And, that's really what it came down to, is in that moment, it wasn't about the award. It was about being protected by my brothers.
Yeah.
And the message that was sent to me through all that stuff was that you are not protected. You're not in a environment where your brothers are going to put your own well-being ahead of their own, in a way. Right. And that's especially when it comes to war, when it comes to a brotherhood. You can't have a brotherhood where it's just like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's got to be like, yo, dude, we are the chain, right? We're the chain, and this chain needs to be as strong as fucking possible. So that's one of those things that I realized. I realized if I stayed in for the remaining time of my fucking, because right now, I would probably be a chief warrant officer, or I'd at least be a gunnery sergeant or a master sergeant. And I'd be 4 years away from retirement, where I'd get a pension for the rest of my life. But I sat there at 27 years old, 28 years old, and I was like, do I really want to sacrifice another fucking decade of my life to this shit? Or can I go and do something outside where I'm the arbiter of my own destiny?
Yeah.
Where my value is actually, reflected. So at that point in time, I started getting into CrossFit, obviously, because I realized from that day that even as good a shape I was in as a Marine, like I wasn't trained properly to handle like the most insane fucking workout. Essentially, that was a workout. Carrying a fucking, I hate to say this, but carrying a dead body is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life.
I mean, physically
it was so crazy. And then it was 132 degrees out, carrying all this other gear, and you had to run. And it was like, I'm not prepared. So I got into CrossFit, fell in love with CrossFit, and ended up becoming a pretty good, well-rounded coach and opening up my own business and doing that. So that's what I got into after I got out. I saved up about $275,000 in my time frame being in the Marine Corps.
Right.
And I
You got that hazard pay, right, for going over there?
Well, I also, when I was in Iraq and I re-enlisted to become a counterintelligence, human intelligence specialist, I got $79,000 tax-free into my bank account.
Fuck yeah.
For a sign-on bonus, and I invested every cent of it. So I got out in 2013 and I cashed everything out. And I opened up my own gym and I was like, fuck it, I'm going to be the king of my castle. This is going to be it, right? Like, silly. I didn't know how to run a business. Yeah, I agree. Lieutenants fucking suck, man. Officers in general. Most of them are fucking garbage. Anyway, so yeah, I ended up getting out, doing that, spending all my money, running my own CrossFit gym. Is fucking awesome for about 2 years. But obviously, you know, the whole PTSD factor, there's a lot of stuff that went into that. You can't take a human being and have them charged up that high in that level of an environment and then just ship them back home. There needs to be levels of decompression. You need to do some stuff, because hormonally too, dude, talk about the biggest adrenaline rush, but your fucking adrenal glands are just pumping adrenaline out every single fucking day. You can't go from doing that to zero. It's like driving a car 300 miles an hour and then putting it in neutral. You're going to blow the engine. And that's essentially what we're doing to our troops right now, on top of not having any type of mental support for them when they come back. It's almost like the Marine Corps says, you're disposable, come back. You're a pit bull that goes into a fighting ring. And then when we come back, we're just going to put you in the cage and paint you as a Boy Scout. So
it's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I learned a lot about that. Long story short is, in the whole blue pill journey and all that other shit. So obviously this whole mindset that I had during this time frame was, you're disposable, you hold no value. You are the blue pill mindset, like I said, is you're disposable as a man. Right. And then women are to be propped up. So that entire time, you know, big time white knight in a way, right? Not the worst white knight in the world, but at the same time, it's like that blue pill mindset. Constantly striving for an LTR, but never being able to get that, but still having sex in the meantime with various women, and then and being guilted and shamed into believing that that Playboy lifestyle is degeneracy. I deeply fell in love. Yeah, exactly. I love it now. But I deeply fell in love with this one girl from afar, right? This girl, oh man, the one, right? The one. And she was dating this other guy. And my whole goal was, in order to beat this guy, like to be better than this guy and prove to her that I'm better, so she'll come to me. And obviously, long story short, with all that stuff, I started dating another girl. And I realized quickly that I fucking hated her, but I was 30 and like on paper, we were both like the perfect match. We were a super couple. And I fucking sold my Harley. I sold my Harley because I wasn't riding it any longer, because I owned my gym. And then I ended up getting ready to buy a ring. So I went in, I started looking for a ring. I put a down payment down on it. And like right when that happened, I realized, man, I fucking hate this woman. I got my dog, right? In this time frame, I got my boy over there, Chance. And I realized that I loved my dog more than I loved this woman. So then I was like, why the fuck am I going to marry her? So I go and I fucking cancel the ring, and I end up breaking up with her. And in that moment, I'm just sitting there going through this stuff where it's like, why is it that I fucking fail at relationships? Why do I attract all these fucking bad women, all this other stuff? And then wouldn't you fucking know it, Jenna and I start talking. And I'm like, oh, this is it. Perfect. She's the one. And I start doing the fucking most blue pill shit possible, right? Like, hey, like, call me, let's hang out kind of stuff, and chasing after her. And she's just repulsed by it. And then I was just like, overworked. I'm working like 90 hours a week now, owning my own business, 5 a.m. to 11 every single day. People are just taking advantage of me. I'm watching money fucking drain out of my stuff. I came off of SSRIs all on my own. I'm going through this emotional stuff with relationships, and I'm still dealing with the trauma from my upbringing and then the trauma from war. And just like this perfect cornucopia of events happens where like the next morning, I just can't wake up and get out of bed. I can't get out of bed. I can't move. Like my body is just like, it's done. You're done. So I launch into a fucking great despair, and I have like a fucking mental breakdown, so to speak. And I end up going to the hospital for 4 days. And then they end up blaming it on the fact that I came off of SSRIs and I have PTSD and I need to be on this stuff for the rest of my life and all this other shit. And my parents.
That's why I quit pursuing psychology, is because they like part of my I was getting my master's and eventually my PsyD, and then they're like, you have to push drugs on these people, and I was like, I fundamentally disagree with that. Like,
right.
You know, I mean, I think in some situations, yeah, but they treat it like a blanket statement. And if you know anything about the pharmaceutical industry, there's no money in cure. The money is in the medicine, the subscription, the subscription revenue.
This stuff should be for acute cases where it's like, this guy is tipped over the edge and we need to get him back to baseline. And then from there, what we need to do is we need to do therapy, like specific types of therapy. And I even believe, and this is what I found, is I found out that you could heal all this stuff holistically. I know it sounds crazy, right? But you can heal this stuff holistically. So I'm sitting here, they put me back on these drugs and I'm like, fuck, I'm a failure of a man, right? Because the reason why I came off is because I felt like a broken man. Like, I don't believe anyone's born broken necessarily. I think that things just happen in your life that imbalance you, and that manifests in chemical imbalances. And for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So that means there's a cure out there, and it has to happen naturally, because that's just the law of the universe. So I was like, man, there's got to be something that can happen that way. And I had a friend, I was actually using cannabis at the time, more edibles than I was smoking it. And I had a friend at the time who's like, dude, you should look into ayahuasca. And I was like, fuck. And I'm like nearly broke at this moment in time. And I'm actually growing weed too as a side business in order to try to make some money. And I'm like, fuck, I have no money to go down and pay $3 grand to travel to Peru and go to this fucking retreat center. So anyway, long story short is this: I end up going down to Peru with the last $800 I have in my bank account, and going and finding someone, right? Like, I was led to this group of people and end up drinking ayahuasca in the rainforest with these ancient shamans. Like, holy fuck, super crazy. And ayahuasca was just like the beginning of, I guess, like breaking me into the red pill, because it tore down everything in my life that was of zero value, like the entire veil of it all, right? I ended up coming back, losing my business, losing all my friends, becoming homeless, right? Like having no income whatsoever, having all my vehicles repossessed, losing my home, and like living all alone not by myself. I was practically by myself though, in the woods on a bus for like 2 months, right? Until like I decided to like launch back into society and all this other stuff and try to
get help. Full Roosh V before it was cool to have like a mental breakdown and come.
Yeah, I like to think of it more like what's it called? Thoreau.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, that was about 5 years ago, and I've been on like a fucking crazy healing journey since then. Ended up doing Iboga, which healed all of my addictions and all this other stuff, because even being a victim is an addiction. You're addicted to that mentality. So it like really opened up my eyes.
So true.
And, obviously I started reading a whole bunch and just reflecting on my life and all my past relationships and all this other stuff. And I realized that like the whole one-itis myth is a fucking trap. I realized that marriage is a trap. Like just all sorts of epiphanies that came from everything that I've experienced in life so far. And that's essentially what's wound me up to here, is just all of those journeys of trauma and then initiation into manhood and spiritual initiations and all this other stuff. So fucking that's in the 45 minutes that I was telling that story, that's my life, right?
It's great. It's fucking phenomenal, nuts, guys. Get some flame emojis in the chat for that one. Why don't you tell people how they can support you if they liked your story today with your upcoming book? Because I think your book is something that is going to be very, very profound for a lot of people. And you have a link that you can put in the chat as well for people to get on the waiting list.
I forgot about the live comments. Let me grab that link real quick. Yeah.
Yeah. No worries.
The big thing is this: you guys can see that my handle is a God Amongst Men. The best thing that you guys could do right now is just go over to my YouTube channel and subscribe right now. And that way there you could stay up to date with all of my products that I kind of have going on. And I just put a link in the chat. It's a bit.ly link. I'll put it in there again because you guys are flame emojiing me like crazy, which I absolutely adore. But I have a new book coming out called A Patriarch's Vision, Purging Feminism. And the one thing that I want to talk about when it comes to this stuff is this, you know, I am not the type of person that is trying to tell people to go fight feminism head on. I think that's a fucking stupid idea.
Yeah.
But the thing that I'm talking about is this: purging feminism in the sense that you are purging the feminine primary social order from your own conditioning,
your own belief system. Yeah.
This book is a means for you to purge it from your own. This book is written for men. As a matter of fact, I barely even write about feminism, but I write about how the blue pill, that matrix, is, what's wrong with it, and how you can purge that from your own system is really what it comes from. So it's really an amazing book. Today, I'm going to be sending out a free chapter. So please do get on that mailing list right now to receive a free chapter. And I'm looking to, the date that I'm going to release this book is March 1st. And I want you guys on this mailing list mainly because, you know, like we talk about, masculinity needs to be the resurgence. It needs to be the new renaissance. And I believe that this book is one of those books that's going to be able to kind of tip the scales back to, like I said, I'm not trying to change society, but what I am trying to do is gain and garner a tribe of men that say, I vote man. I vote to become the best version of man myself, and I'm in, right? So, and the best way to do that is by voting with your dollars. So that's the thing we need to do. And I'm going to keep you guys up to date with the release dates and so forth on this, as well as a few other key incentives. So get on that mailing list. That'd be fucking awesome. And do go over to my YouTube channel right now, A God Amongst Men. And I'll even put that little, if you guys aren't subscribed, first and foremost, I don't know what the hell is wrong with you.
Definitely subscribe to this man. Listen to what he says. And like, you know, for you guys out there, while Corey puts this stuff in the chat, Corey is a key member in the Masculine Empowerment Network webinars. For you guys that have never joined, you know, it's one thing listening to Corey and I on the screen like you're doing now. It's another thing to get off of the, you know, this public broadcast that's YouTube and have a real conversation using we used the Zoom platform. Last time we had 140 men maxing out in attendance, and a lot of guys, you know, like some people, like for example, you know, remember young Trey came through, and he in the beginning of those webinars, he could barely put together a sentence because he had no confidence. By the end of that, he had job interviews in a 3-week span. He'd gone from being literally in poverty level income to getting positioned to have $100,000 to $75,000 to $100,000 a year within 2 years of working hard and knocking these things out. Because listen, the time's going to pass anyways. If you're willing to put in the work and come in there and get mentorship from guys like us, we're going to make your life awesome. Like, you know, it's very hard to have access to guys like us. You know, my story is not as brutal and as, you know, grotesque and everything, and you know, very, very hardcore. And I mean that in the most respectful way. No, absolutely. You know, absolutely. As his, my struggle was more, I had more of a first world kind of struggle, just getting out of poverty and you know, my identity, not knowing who my father was, being raised in a broken home, single mom, you know, finding myself as a man and literally fighting tooth and nail.
Man, that's a war, though. Don't discredit that. That's a fucking war. I think the hardest war that I ever fought was having to survive in my own household growing up, man.
It is,
like,
man.
That shit is not fucking cool, man. That is not cool. This is a place where you're supposed to be safe and protected, so to speak, and your mom created a fucking war zone for you. And it's like you didn't even I agreed to go to war. I signed the fucking contract. You know what I'm saying? Like, so guys, don't feel bad for me for doing what I did, right? I signed that fucking contract. Dude, when you're fucking born into a single mother household and your fucking dad's not around because your mom pushed him away and all this other stuff, and then you have to deal with her fucking toxic narcissism and stuff, fuck, man, you didn't agree to that. And like, the contract is supposed to be like, yo, you're supposed to develop me as a human being. You're not supposed to fucking destroy me. It's like that fucking, like, I'm telling you, the physical stuff is way, way better than the emotional and mental. You know what I mean? So like, guys, don't sit here and don't look at my story and be like, oh my God, I can never stack up. You know, you guys have gone through your own battles, but John and I talk about this too. Like his initiation into manhood was going to fucking Japan, not having a clue how his life was going to fucking turn out with no money, and then becoming successful. Right.
Yep.
Surviving. That's fucking huge. It's huge.
Yeah. And that's what we offer in the Masculine Empowerment Network. Like I said, it's 3 weeks of intensive coaching. And the guys, like, you know, Jules here sent me a message the other day. Like, you know, he kind of bought into the MGTOW lies, and He was unhappy and shit. And then, you know, he came, he attended the webinars. We had our talks. I told him, like, you know, there's some things he needed to change with his physical appearance. There's some things he needed to change with his text messaging and how to go about dealing with women. Now the dry spell is over. He's got girls that are interested in him. He's having a good time. And most importantly, he's happy. He has achieved what he wanted to. So when you come into the Masculine Empowerment Network and you talk to guys like Corey and I, we've seen the bottom depths of treachery that life has to offer, and we have extreme, highly tuned intuition and senses. You're not going to bullshit your way out of our coaching. We're going to call you out on every little thing you're doing wrong. We're going to tell you how to fix your life. And if you try to weasel your way and not do what we say, we're going to call you out on that too. And one of two things are going to happen. You're going to improve or you're going to drop out. That's it. So, I mean, this is just one of the many awesome guys that I have in the group. And, you know, I just look forward to the great things that we are going to have this upcoming year, man. Like I tell you, boys, 2020 is the year of plenty. Corey and I literally given to you every single day in one way, shape, or form as content creators. And it's not like we're not doing, no offense, I'm not even gonna say his name, but we're not doing some like flashy Playboy lifestyle, like, oh, I'm a gangster and I do all this shit. We're giving you, I don't believe in that stupid shit. Like, you're not gonna, like, let's just be real. You're not gonna be some super celebrity. You're not, like, most of you guys are not gonna be some super celebrity. Most of you guys are not gonna be some international Playboy. But what we offer you is hardcore truth for you to live like a king, man. Mm-hmm. Sexually speaking, we have the life of kings, Corey and I. Like, we have the pick of the litter. I know multi-millionaires that are struggling with their sex life. Okay. What we do is we give common solutions for the common man, right? I'm not telling you you're going to be some king of the alphas, blah, blah, blah shit. But I tell you, whatever you are in life now, whatever problems you have, we will pull you up. And I have a lot of other guys who operate in the shadows with my community. They don't want to be on they don't want to be on screen. They just want to have their anonymous presence. But those guys also bring tons and tons of value. So, I mean, that's going to do it for us today, guys. Go get on the waiting list for Corey's book coming out. Hit subscribe and hit like button and hit the little bell button. Leave a comment if you can't. For you guys watching on the replay and all you guys now, if you can just leave a comment, that helps boost me in the YouTube algorithm. You know, because obviously if YouTube sees that I'm getting high interaction, they're gonna be more prone to, you know, keeping my channel up and boosting me to other people to get reach. So if this message helped you and you can't help me financially, that's fine. Help me with the free action, the free gesture of just leaving a like, leaving a comment. Do it right now. And for you guys that are watching, go, if you didn't see this last one, Interview with the Man, episode 201, free consultation Friday. I do some breakdowns on a guy who calls himself Goldman Unleashed, and he claims to be he claims to be some pickup artist, but I literally on screen show you how he is just a financial grifter. And lo and behold, guess where he's a speaker at? The 21 convention. So keep that in mind. We're going to be here back together on Saturday on Dude Party. I'm pretty sure I'll have Corey on the show again. We'll do some like dual commentary stuff. Corey, final words?
I will be live at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today on my channel, God Amongst Men. I go live every single day at 4:30 p.m. So please do join me over there if you guys want some fire content. You guys can see from some of the comments in the chat that people enjoy the stuff I'm putting out. A little bit different topic. Obviously, it's more fucking money, muscles, game type of thing because that's where the space is now. I think John's absolutely 100% right. Guys, this year, we're going to see a fucking 100% resurgence in masculinity, and this is going to take off. The fact that you guys are the fucking stormtroopers of this movement is fucking amazing, right? But the biggest thing that like John and I are talking about, you got to vote. You got to vote with your likes. You got to vote with your subscribes, or you got to vote with your dollars. That's the only way that we're going to move this machine, right? So stay loyal, keep on showing up, and if you can, you know, share. I know that this year as well, there's going to be a few meetings. There's going to be a few meetups. There's going to be a few things that are going on. Show up, show your face, right? Like meet us personally. And man, I'll tell you, things are going to fucking go off. It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited for this year. I'm so excited for you guys. I'm excited for you guys to like finally reach down and grab your balls and be like, fuck yeah, let's go. Right. That's what the charge is here. So that's all I got. Hit up my channel. Hit up my channel, sign up for the book, put your name on the email list, and I'll get you guys that free chapter today too.
All right, boys. Until then, we'll catch you next time. Peace out.